Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good evening. So this is our last session of Al Majlis. Our today's session is very interesting and important. Our sessions today titled as Survival to Thriving in the Now. In today's high-pressure society, we see a lot of individuals in the survival mode. In this session, we're gonna discuss and explore how to learn to navigate from survival to thriving during the challenges. Please welcome our amazing guest for the day, Amani Alkhiami.
Hello. Okay. So we actually have another speaker that is coming in a little bit. I'm not really a famous person, so you don't need to take videos of me at all. But I'm very excited to have this conversation. Mr. Chris Gardner is on his way. But I thought, why not have a quick conversation together and see, get to know you guys first. So let me first say, are you guys having fun? Are you enjoying the Misk Global Forum this year? Yeah? Not so much? Mashi halakum? It's okay. Are you enjoying the Misk Global Forum this year? Yes, that's the type of thing we're excited about. So this is our final session of Al Majlis in the Misk Global Forum 2023. We're absolutely thrilled about having all these amazing conversations with you guys. Our title today is a really important one, something that we thought will be really important to discuss. It's really important to hear from everybody. What does survival to thriving in the now? So before we start, what does the title mean to you? Or why did you want to come to the session? Please go ahead. Can we get a quick mic? But you can also shout. It's a small room. It's fine. Go for it.
Thank you. So maybe survival to thriving in the now means that we're surviving, but we're not developing.
Okay.
So we're just in like this survival mode where we just want to يعني ماشي حالك, and so there's no development, and we're just like stopping and just trying to live for a while. And maybe we're talking about how to get out of that survival mode and to start living.
I think we should just bring you up on stage later on and just have this conversation.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Why are you here in particular? Are you here to watch Chris Gardner? And you're really excited? Are you excited about Chris Gardner? Yes. Okay. So are you excited about the fact that I'm moderating this at all? Okay. You guys, stop. Khalas. It's okay. It's fine. Well, thank you. Why are some of the other reasons you're here, other than the fact that you're coming to see Chris Gardner and maybe me? What are some of the reasons why you're here today in this session? Anybody wants to chime in? Learn. Okay. What else? To get out of survival mode. That's a really good one. What else? You were trying to say something. Bardo same. Okay. Survival mode. What does survival mode mean to you? What does it mean? Go ahead. Now you have to be louder. Project.
It's about fearing the now.
Fearing the now.
Instead of fearing the future while living in the now, which makes you not be fully you in the present. To going.
Can we have some microphones from Madrid? I think signature.
Okay, that's a really good answer. Hope everybody was able to hear him. It's kind of survival mode is where we're thinking about, oh my God, I have a test tomorrow. I'm never gonna make it. I did not study. I don't. So you're constantly in kind of that mentality of stress. Like things are not gonna work out tomorrow, but you're today. Like you literally have you had 3 months to study for a test, but you decided to make it last minute. You wanted to add something. Go ahead. But you have to be louder so everybody can hear it. Or you're always in burnout mode. That's a really good one.
And you're not allocating your energy in the right places.
Absolutely. Well, I can take this and I can give it to other. Anybody wants to chime in? Why you guys are being shy? Please go ahead. Let's go.
I think surviving means that you're not living to your full potential.
Okay.
So you have the potential to do so much, but like everyone said, you're so focused on what could go wrong and, the stakes. And then you don't end up, doing the best that you could possibly do.
Absolutely. That's a really good one as well. And I think this is what, we're going to have to discuss more on what does it mean to survive. What does it mean when I'm in survival mode? Sometimes it means that I'm in victim mode as well. Constantly thinking that the world is conspiring against me, constantly feeling that I'm not able to do anything because my parents didn't grow up in wealth, because I did not go to the best school, I did not get the best job. All of that is victim mode. So we're going to talk about what the survival to thriving means with the amazing and the wonderful Mr. Chris Gardner. Hello, sir.
Ooh, good evening, good evening, good evening.
Please, welcome.
Oh, good evening. That means you too. Good evening. Thank you.
You gotta be more excited. Good
Oh,
evening,
come
guys.
on, come on, these people are
Come
tired.
on, wake up.
These people are tired. They want to go home.
Well,
They
well,
were that
I mean, they're
tired.
surviving the day to the title of our session, right?
Ooh, thank you.
Thank
for
you
having
so
me.
much for being here. We're absolutely excited. These guys were basically shouting at me, saying, "Where is he?"
No one told me. Well, trust me, it's been a little fluid, right?
That is-
it's been
well,
a little fluid,
it's
but we're here
great to
now.
have you.
That's all that matters.
It's all about the now, right? We're talking
ma'am,
about the
that's
now.
it.
And we're so excited to have you. I think everybody over here is you have a lot of fans who are coming here to watch you. A lot of them have seen you today on stage. But we want to really dive into a deeper conversation with you today on what does it mean to move from survival to thriving in the now.
Well, can I say something before
Please
we
do.
do anything?
Absolutely.
I want to say I am absolutely honored to again have been invited to the beautiful kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This is a big deal for me personally. I've been here a number of times. I am unofficially brand ambassador for the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Okay, I am unofficially, right? Now, what that means is simple. I have been invited to speak in over 90 countries all around the world, and people ask me, what is the most exciting place that you've ever been to? And I say, the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I'm telling you, and when I say that, you can see the looks on people's faces, especially in America. Whoa. Right? And then I just flipped the script on them. And I asked them one question. The last time that you were in the kingdom, do you remember one thing? And the first thing they have to admit is, I've never been to the kingdom. So all that they know about the kingdom of Saudi Arabia is what they see on television and what they read in the newspapers. So when you flip the script on them, that changes the whole conversation. So when I say I'm honored to be here, I'm happy to be here, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So thank you all again for having me.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much,
that.
okay?
I think everybody in the audience absolutely appreciates that sentiment, and we're very happy and honored to have you here with us today. And we were having a conversation the other day when we were trying to discuss this session, and something you said that resonated. So everything you say resonates with me, by the way. So I have to say that first. But one thing in particular, we were talking about something, and I said, "I hope," and you said, "We don't hope,
We plan.
we plan." And we plan A.
Plan A is all about Plan A. And this, again, to be young and in Saudi Arabia right now, you've got to have a Plan A. Your crown prince has put forth Vision 2030. So the question has got to be for you, what's your Plan A to participate fully in Vision 2030? And you got to know, because of opportunities being opened up and created by Vision 2030 and your Crown Prince's vision, the best and the brightest in the world are coming to Saudi Arabia. The best and brightest minds, not necessarily the best and brightest people. And they're not coming here to participate in some form of nation building. They're not coming here to make the world a better place. They're coming for economic opportunities. And you got to be asking yourself, what am I doing to make sure that I am prepared to compete with some of the best and brightest minds when they come? What's my plan A? So if I were sitting out there right now or any place in this country, I'd be all about my plan A and not plan B.
Absolutely. Well, sometimes being a young person today, plan A is very difficult to figure out. You're constantly thinking about all the burnout. You're constantly thinking about what didn't work more than you're thinking about what does work. You're thinking about the future. What do you want to be? Where do you see the famous HR question? Where do you want to be in 5 years?
Okay, first of all, I do not talk to HR people. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, you didn't tell me you were in HR?
I was not
I
in
would have
HR.
never agreed to do this. HR people can make something out of nothing real quick. HR people should be in research and development. They will make something. Is everybody here in HR?
Maybe somebody.
Oh,
that
God.
might be.
Wait. I didn't mean it like that. What?
Just delete that scene. It's okay. It's okay.
But this whole idea of, first of all, again, plan A. Can I talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely.
I am all about plan A, have always been. That's what's worked for me. There are some people who feel that you got to have a plan B, a C, a D, E, and F. The only problem with that is there's 26 characters in the English language. So you can have a whole bunch of plans. But some of the best to ever do what they did in their respective fields, they did not have a plan B. They had a plan A. They had one commitment, one mission, one dream, one goal. You heard me talk about it earlier. Maybe some of you did. If you didn't, I'm going to repeat it. People, I live in Chicago. 3 people come to mind instantly when I think about plan A. Michael Jordan. Michael's got 6 NBA championship rings because he was committed to plan A, not plan B. Oprah Winfrey became the queen of all media because she was committed to plan A, not plan B. And again, whatever your politics are, Barack Obama served 2 terms as president of the United States because he was committed to plan A, not plan B.
Well,
Plan B sucks.
Plan B sucks. I think that would be kind of the quote out of this
Plan B
conversation.
sucks.
Well, but plan A, how do we get to plan A?
You've got to do one thing. Your plan A has got to have something I call the C5 complex. Your plan A has got to be clear, concise, compelling, consistent, and committed. That's it. And you got to know it can be done. That's the first step. It can be done. You've got to give yourself what I call permission to dream. Where do we get that permission to dream from? We get it by acknowledging that there were some people who came before us who did incredible things. And incredible things could be the most incredible thing, just raising a family, being a parent. It's not accomplishing all these big otherworldly things, right? It's being a mom. It's being a dad. It's been done before. And when you know other people have done it, why can't you do it? What made them so special? What did they do or what did they have that you don't have? The truth of the matter is, probably nothing. You got to give yourself permission to dream and know that it can be done, but now it's your turn.
If you allow
Now,
me,
that's the scary part.
that is absolutely scary.
That
part.
is the frightening part.
And this is kind of leads me to 2 points to what you're saying. Because it's so scary, where do we find the courage?
We find the courage on the road that we're on and know that the road that we're on was paved with the blood, sweat, and tears of people who came before us. There's some folks who came before us, who paved this road, and we have a responsibility to see to it that we take full advantage of this road, and not only that, but that the folks coming behind us are prepared. It's not enough for any of us to just say, okay, I got there. I did it. That's not fulfilling your generational responsibility. Fulfilling your generational responsibility is knowing that you're helping the people behind you get ready to go forward. And we are all of us right now are probably in a position to dare, dream, and do things that are beyond the wildest dreams of our forefathers and ancestors. And you got to be comfortable with that, but that's also a huge responsibility. You got to know some folks came before you, and they paid the price of the ticket.
Absolutely, and I think that's absolutely well said. One of the reasons when we were, part of the Misk Foundation, when we were looking at a venue to host the Misk Global Forum for the Big Now concept, is we actually looked at Dir'iyah and Bijeri. And the reason for that is it's so important to be talking about the now on the doorsteps of the past while you look at the future. Because without our past, we wouldn't be who we are today. And without being who we are today, we are not able to go to our next step. And I absolutely love what you said on our generational responsibility. Can you elaborate a little bit more about how can each one of us play this active role in taking a commitment to really leading that generational responsibility in our life, living every day with that courage and permission to dream and create meaningful impact?
I cannot answer that question without telling you a story about my mom and my mother. I was talking with someone earlier, and they were asking me about, can you mention a few great men that you've known in your life? And my response is always going to be the same. My mom was the greatest man I ever knew in my life. My mother was more of a man than any other man that I've met in my life. And I've met some great men. But as far as her, the first thing that she did that was great, that she did not know how great it was when she was doing it, she made the most important decision in the history of my family, 400 years in America, until my mother. What we had ever done, the only thing we ever did, was pick cotton. First as slaves, and then as sharecroppers. Meaning, you're still picking cotton, but now we're going to give you a share. The boldest decision she ever made in the history of my family was that she would be the last person in the history of our family to ever pick cotton. As a matter of fact, when she walked out of the cotton fields of Louisiana for the last time, she was pregnant with me, and she said, "My son will never pick cotton. He will never pick cotton." All right? I got to tell you, that was a big, bold, beautiful, bodacious dream. And she gave that permission to herself. There was no one else saying, well, there's something else that you could do. You do have alternatives. You can go on and do these other things. She gave herself permission to dream. And she passed it on to me, right? By telling me every day, you can do or be anything. And I believed it. And I had that vision, that idea, crystallized and amplified for me one night as a young man. I'll never forget, I had the opportunity to hear Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speak one night. As a matter of fact, it was the last speech he ever gave in his life. He was assassinated the very next day. He was talking to a group of municipal employees, garbage men, in Memphis, Tennessee. And this message to those men that night was, whatever you're going to do with your life, You should seek to become the best at it. I believe his exact words were, if you're going to be a garbage man, you should seek to become the best garbage man and sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry. And right there, I made the second most important decision I ever made in my life. That decision was, I'm going to become world class at whatever I do with my life. Not good at it, not pretty good at it, but world class at it. And let's define world class and keep it simple. Because somebody in this room right now can't be making the same decision. I guarantee you that whatever business or industry that you're in now or go into, at some point in time, there's a conversation going on and the question has come up, who's the best in the business? Somebody ought to say your name. Same conversation, same question. Who's the best in the business? If nobody says your name, then you got work to do. Same conversation, same question. Who's the best in the business? If nobody says your name and you don't care, get out of the business. You'll never be any good. But the ultimate validation, my sister, in that conversation, when that question comes up, who's the best in the business? The ultimate validation is when someone who does not like you says your name. That's when you'll know. When the people who will not take your phone calls are now hoping you'll return their calls. When the folks who will not hire you yesterday cannot afford you today. That's when you'll know.
Wow.
Okay? That's when you'll know. All right. And you know when I knew? I don't. But I'm working on it every single day.
That is absolutely, like, I'm speechless right now.
Dude,
I don't know what to say.
Every day.
But maybe kind of bringing back, it's very powerful stuff. And I think a lot of young people is kind of figuring out, we're all almost kind of stuck in that survival mentality. Sometimes that survival mentality comes as well with victimhood. There's a lot of blaming of situations. You said something earlier about, you need to almost be grateful for who you are and what you do, and that gives you kind of that permission to lead on. But a lot of times you're stuck in that feeling like the world is against me, I'm not in the right job, my boss hates me, life is just not working out for me. Where do you...
That sounds very American.
I mean, I think
Does that happen over here too?
It's not possible. It's a very universal sentiment, right?
Oh, man.
But something you said to me the other day, we were talking a little bit about your book, and you were played by Will Smith as well in the movie The Pursuit of Happiness. Tell us a little bit about that experience, going through the situations that were portrayed in the movie. You were telling me earlier about the story of your son, and let's put context to how old your son was at the time, rather than the story that was portrayed in the movie.
It's so interesting. First of all, let me say this. You brought up the movie, I didn't, okay? But I will tell you this. When I first heard that it was going to be Will Smith to play me in the film, I was underwhelmed, to put it mildly. I was like, Will Smith, man. When we think about Will Smith at the time, we thought about big, blockbuster outer space. This story is about inner space, not outer space. It was my son who broke it down for me when he says, Papa, look, don't worry. If he can play Muhammad Ali, he can play you. Man, I was crushed. And I'll never forget the very first time that Will and I met, okay? He says, come to dinner. We go to dinner. We have dinner, just he and I at his home. And we're sitting here, and we're just talking, right? But suddenly he started looking at me like this. He had begun to study me. It made me very uncomfortable. I had never been studied before, right? And he says to me, I need you to be on the set every day of filming for 17 weeks. Because playing you is going to be harder than playing Muhammad Ali. Because everybody else knows Ali. They know the stories. They know what happened. They know how Ollie reacted. Nobody knows you. Plan A. So for 17 weeks, while everybody else was watching him, he was watching me. How I move, how I express myself, how I show tension. This guy had me down to the point he has to sign my name to a contract in the film, signs an exact replica of my signature.
Wow.
Man, if I ever have a problem with identity theft, I know who I'm going after. All right? That was plan A.
Yeah.
And the first thing that we did after the dinner, we did something else that nobody else knew about. Just he and I. This was hard for him to do. At a certain level, you have security concerns. We went out for a walk through the streets in San Francisco, and no one knew where he was. We went for a walk, and I took him and showed him places that my son and I slept. I took him and showed him places where things happened. And his security team is going ballistic. Nobody knew where he was. Just he and I going out for a walk. But again, that goes back to plan A. And I've got to tell you, I could not be more proud of the work or the depiction. They did a phenomenal job. Will should have gotten an Oscar for that performance. Did not, no problem. But as good as he was, the little boy was better. Jaden was better.
Yeah.
I tease Will all the time. I ask him, how does it feel to be the #1 box office movie star in the world and the second best actor in your own family?
But
He doesn't like that.
But he was a great actor. But it goes to the bottom of it. The story was quite fantastic, and it wasn't. I also always believe that it's not always about, who tells the story, but how good the story is, and the story was powerful.
Well, the story is not about me. It's about all of us whoever had dreams and would not quit. And that's a global situation. That includes people in this room right now. That includes people in this country right now. Everybody that's got a dream and is not going to quit, right? And everyone is not going to see that dream, that vision that you have for yourself. There are going to be people in your lives that love you and want nothing but the best for you, but they're still not going to be able to see that dream that you have. And that's okay. And you got to let them be in that space so you can be in this space, and you've got to be consumed with what you need to do. What's it going to take for me to make this happen? You got to be consumed with it, and everybody's not going to like it. That's the scary part. Sometimes a lot of us, unfortunately, we're waiting for some kind of external validation. We're waiting for somebody to say, that's okay, man. You know what? You got that. Go do it. I believe in you. We're waiting for some external validation where the validation we really need is right here in our hearts and souls. And I'm not talking about something I just happened to write about. It's what I've lived. So back to the comment about my story, it's not my story. It's our story.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, and I think that is in itself is very powerful, because I think the reason, the movie and of course the book resonates with a lot of people is because a lot of people see themselves in different parts of that story, at different moments of that story as well.
I got to tell you something about that.
Yeah, please.
Man, I get stopped every day by somebody somewhere in the world that says to me, you know what? I saw what you did. And I know if you can do that, then I can do this. And that's where I get my energy from. I got my own personal nuclear reactor. right? And it's global. And I get this from spending time with young people all around the world. Met a young man today, Anas from Pakistan, who makes robotic arms for people who've lost limbs due to wars and violence. And think about that for a second. For someone to come up to you and say, you know what? I saw what you did, and it made me realize that I could do this. For a man who's lost an arm to now be able to pick up a bottle of water. That is powerful, man. Right? That is absolutely powerful. And to know it can be done. It's been done before. But now it's our turn.
I think that is absolutely beautiful. I think when we're talking in the Miss Global Forum about think big and act now, we're actually not saying you need to come up with brand new ideas that nobody had thought of before. That is absolutely fine if you have a good idea, do your thing. But sometimes it's just good to make good, there's a lot of good ideas that can be better. There's also room for everybody to thrive. It's not one small circle that only fits one person. Everybody has an opportunity. Tell us more about how do you find maybe your space to create, to do good and better in the world, to have that ripple effect of impact?
First of all, you got to, again, realize that, like you said, we're going to be hard-pressed to come up with that one thing that no one else has ever thought of. Some people might do it. You can't be afraid to also collaborate with others. Because if you and I sitting here apart, we probably can't do anything. But if you and I work together, there's probably something that you're doing that I can add to, something that I'm doing can add to, that creates something that hasn't been out here before. It can be done. It happens all the time. And you got to be open to other people's ideas and their beliefs. And you've got to be open to, most importantly, the responsibility of that why. Why we spell happiness with a why. That why is there to make us all mindful that it is you and your responsibility, you and your opportunity to create the life that you want for you and your family. The power of you. Empower yourself. Right? You got to empower yourself.
Yeah, and I think to what you said earlier, it takes a lot of courage. And I think courage starts with, maybe being grateful, being, almost as connecting to who you are before going out there and telling other people how they should live their lives and what they should do.
Well, it also, honestly, is helpful.
Yeah,
Stay humble.
absolutely.
Stay humble. Sometimes too many people get to a certain level of success, and you can OD drinking your own Kool-Aid. Stay humble and go at everything like this is my first and my only opportunity. Stay humble, stay hungry, and be open.
Absolutely. I want us to stay a little bit on being humble. We talk a lot about, survival as, to the theme of this session. And a lot of times you're stuck in survival mode because you're competing with everybody. You're trying to, I will accumulate the most wealth. I will be the most in the spotlight. I will be the most and the most and the most until you burn yourself out.
Can I cut you off right there? You said
course.
something that just kind of like inside.
Light bulb.
All right? It's not about competing with other people. The person you're ultimately competing with is yourself. The question you got to ask yourself is, have I seen the best, most evolved version of myself? That's something that the world hasn't seen before. We have yet to see the best, most evolved, most highest forms of ourselves. We haven't. And again, that's something the world hasn't seen. We haven't seen it.
Yeah, I love that. And we almost like build an unrealistic image of what we think we are without actually building towards that person and forgetting the plan A. Who is that plan A person that I want to become? And this is a great conversation. Do you mind if we open the floor a little bit for questions? I'm sure
No.
everybody here is kind of dying to ask
These
you.
people want to go home. They've been here all day.
Oh, they're staying.
These people like,
There's a
"Man,
concert
this guy
later
been here
on.
all
We're
night."
here.
Look, I got
It's
They want to
fine.
go to the party. They want to get out of here.
Let's see.
See?
Oh,
Wait.
yeah.
See,
Tell 'em.
nobody's got a question. Okay, good. Oh, thank you.
Okay, we can go home.
Oh, my man, right here. Yes, sir. Please stand up.
What if plan A doesn't really work out? Doesn't really work out.
Then you go to something called Plan B. You know what that is? It's called a butt. You get knocked on your butt, you get up and go at it again. Next question.
Okay,
Go.
let's see. Let's look at this side. Who has a question? Okay, go ahead.
Man, you
Just
broke,
shout it out.
You broke
It's
the
fine.
microphone. You can't get no question. You broke the microphone. Sit down. No.
How do you always find the passion to where you got to like always move on, always find new stuff?
You know what works for me, honestly, is no matter what you accomplish, sometimes you always got to be mindful that you could possibly do it a little bit better. It could be a little bit bigger. And whatever level of success you get, you got to see yourself in this universe of possibilities as a speck of dust. But the key is to be a purposeful and directed speck of dust and say, I'm going this way. You always want to be not trying to get more, but be more. Right? There's a world of difference between how much you got and who you are. And the treasure that some of us too many times are looking for, we think is out there, is really in here. See, part of my treasure, again, is this personal nuclear reactor that I have, all this energy from Saudi Arabia. I'm taking this with me when I get back on the plane to America. But I'm also going to be back here in 10 days for a recharge. I'll be back in 10 days, all right? Yes, ma'am. Then we'll come to you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, so if we're all in survival mode, how do we get out of it? Like, how do we get out of the overly procrastination and doing your best and feeling like you can't do any more? And then you just get to the point where you mentally cannot do anymore, and so you just fall, and it's like
Let
over.
me tell you a story about that. I will never forget two things. See, you're making me, giving me flashbacks right now. My son and I getting our first home after a year of living on the streets, train stations, bus terminals, hotel lobbies, airports, outside in the park for a year. We got our first place, our first home. It took me a year to save the money to get a place that was ours. And for 1 year, my son has seen me carry everything that we own, everywhere we went, every day for a year. It had become normal for him. But on this one day, we got a home. We slept on the floor. We had no furniture. We get up to walk out of the door, and my little boy, he gets upset. He says, Papa, you forgot this. We have to bring this. We have to bring our stuff. And to be able to say to your child, no, son, we got a key now. We home. We don't have to carry stuff anymore. I mean, that for me, that baby step, sometimes right now in this space that we're in, this burnout feeling, this threatened and thriving thing, baby steps count too. And you got to be mindful of them. My son, again, my son was a little boy. Right? In the movie, he's 5 years old, but at this point in time, he's 14, 16 months old. We got home one night, and I'm thinking, we're going to be okay. All right? We're going to be all right. We got this. And I got home and found out that the local utility could not wait another day to get that $13 that I owed them and turn my lights off. We got no electricity. And I did not know whether I was going to quit, crack, or cry. I had to wash my son up by candlelight. And I'm washing this baby, and I'm asking myself these doubting questions for the very first time. After a year of the most intense struggle of my life, I'm asking myself, how much longer can I do this? What's going to happen next? Where am I trying to get us to? And my little boy picks up on the energy, and he says to me, Papa, you know what? You're a good papa. That was it. That was it. That goes to that nuclear energy. That was all I needed to hear in those baby steps. Let's acknowledge those in this struggle as we go forward. Sometimes a lot of us, we want to go like this. We want to take strides. You take strides where there's no obstacles, there's nothing in the way, and everything is cool. But you got to take those baby steps sometimes when you don't know, when you're frightened, when you're tired, when you're scared. When nobody else believes in you, you got to be willing to take that baby step, and that's going to separate you from a life of striving, struggling to thriving. Did I answer your question, ma'am? Thank you.
That is absolutely beautiful. Before we take another question, you said something on baby steps, and you gave the audience in our stage a homework. Can we just give these guys also the same homework so they get something to do later tonight when they go home?
They ain't going home. They're going to the party. I know what's... Look, I've been here
Eventually,
before. I
eventually.
know. Look, y'all play like we don't party in Saudi Arabia. Look, I know.
We partly mildly.
Well, we party discreetly. Right?
Yeah.
We party very discreetly. Okay. But this whole idea of, in the film, I don't know, I'm assuming some of you saw the film. And if you saw the film, there was a scene in the film where I meet this guy driving this gorgeous red Ferrari. And I go up to him and I say, I got to ask you two questions. What do you do and how do you do that? That was it. Well, there's a new two questions that no one can answer but you. When you go home and you brush your teeth, I want you to look at that person in the mirror and ask yourself the new two questions. Question number one, if I could walk through a door tomorrow morning and be doing anything in the world, what would it be? What would it look like? What would it smell like? What would it taste like? Engage all of your senses and then ask yourself the second question. What did I do today to make tomorrow happen? And you got to remember, the person that you saw in the mirror when you were asking those questions, they heard what you said, and they saw what you did. And if they don't match up, that's on you. If they don't match up, that means that's not what you really wanted to do. You got to ask yourself every day, did I move the dial forward one notch? Did I take one baby step towards what it is I say I really want to do? And nobody knows the answers but you. That's the scary part. That's the scary part, Ball. Yes, sir, then we'll come over here. I'm sorry?
You mentioned that we have to be humble.
Yes, sir.
So how to let the purpose lead me, not the ego?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
How do we let the purpose lead us, not the ego, to get
Man,
things?
first of all, let me tell you something. Your ego will get you beat up, Bo. My ego has gotten me beat up more than a couple times. But my purpose has me undefeated. Okay? Ego is like the most rapidly depreciating asset you could ever own. It's very, very fragile, right? And this whole idea of, again, staying humble, the only person I have something to prove to is myself. And because I've done a certain thing at a certain level, know I can reach a little bit higher. And that I have a responsibility to do so. It's not just about me. That helps you stay humble when it's not all about you. Anything and everything that I've done in my life was about my son and about my responsibility to giving him something that I never had, which was a father. And that's the most important thing I've ever done in my life. Until I became a grandfather. Now that's a whole nother situation. And do not get me talking about my granddaughter, because we'll be up here a long time. All right? But staying humble is what's going to help you stay happy, bro. And taking these baby steps every single day and acknowledging them. Even when other people don't. Acknowledging that, yeah, you did that. You did it, and you did it today. But now you got to do it again tomorrow. I mean, if this were not being recorded, which I know it is, if this were not being recorded, I would share something with you that I'm excited about. We're pretty close to closing the largest sports licensing deal ever done in the history of women's sports. Okay, and that's all I'm going to say. No, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
One day you're going to be sitting at home watching your television, and you're going to say, oh.
That's what he was talking about.
That's what he was talking about, right? And this goes back to, got to tell you, my mom. This whole idea, permission to dream. I will never forget being a young man getting ready to watch a college basketball game. And the announcer was talking about all the money some of these players were going to make simply because they could run and jump and shoot a ball. And I said out loud, talking to the television, wow, man, one day that guy's going to make $1 million. Thank God my mother heard me say it, and she said, son, you know what? If you want to, one day you can make $1 million. Until she said those words, the thought never entered my mind. But after she said them, the thought never left my mind. And moms went on to say the most remarkable thing directly related to what I'm trying to get done now with women's sports. What she said was, baby, if you want to make the team, go to the gym. But if you want to own the team, go to the library. I went to the library. Dude, I went to the library. And that's why we're getting ready to do this thing we're doing now.
Amazing. And we wish really best of luck with that. We have limited time, so we'll take this.
So why you got to go somewhere now? First you give me up, first you run me down, bring me over
Right,
here,
you know,
right? And
we
now
got-
you're in a hurry.
Well-
You want to go to the party. Is that
Well,
what's
I
happening?
mean, You want these people to go to the party, but we are not letting you go just yet. There's one more question over here, so we'll take just this one final question if you allow us. Yes, please. And then, so please go ahead.
It's a great pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. I just want to build up on the question of that young gentleman. So, being persistent, having a plan, and sticking to it is really quality of true leaders. Yet sometimes you really need to pivot, being agile, the need to be a little bit flexible to change your plan. So where that comes in that formula?
Well, let's just look back at 2020. At the beginning of 2020, the whole world had to pivot. And not just pivot, we all had to make what I call a hard pivot. And a hard pivot being defined as something you would have never chosen, but you still got to make it work. We were all in the same space at the same time, but our values, our tactics may have changed, but our values remained the same. Prior to 2020, on the road 200 days a year. Guess what? Suddenly, you can't go anywhere because there's no place to go. But sometimes when you're open to ideas and opportunities, you can see someone do something in a totally unrelated space, and you're going to say, that's what I want to do. 2020. Seems like forever ago. It's hard to believe that's coming up just 4 years ago. But the whole world changed. I saw one of my favorite recording artists, the great Italian tenor Andrea Bocelli, singing Amazing Grace at the Cathedral El Duomo in Milano, Italy. The church was empty because of the lockdown and the quarantine. But he sang like he was singing to the whole world. He goes out onto the plaza. It's empty because of the lockdown. He sang again like he was singing to the whole world. And I said, that's it. So I invested in the time, the energy, and the technology, and the team to learn how to communicate and do what I did via Zoom, using technology. Spoke in 50 countries and never got on a plane, right? But I was still committed to doing the work and my vision of helping to create the next Chris Gardners globally, because dreams do not have borders. I hope I answered your question. My brother.
Well,
Okay?
sir,
All right, whoa.
Oh.
We're going to get one in the
Okay.
back. Here's
There's
the
a
deal.
very eager lady over there.
Here's the deal. 1, 2, and that's it. And let's do this. We're going to make an agreement. If you don't ask me now, do not catch me over here on the side and say, can I ask you a question? No. It don't work like that. Yes, sir. Okay, help me with the question again.
Yeah,
What are
There we
ways
go.
to be compelling when moving with Plan A?
Well, if you are clear, concise, compelling, consistent, and committed, that's going to be part of your nuclear reactor, baby. It's going to happen automatically. As a matter of fact, what's your name, man? What's your name? Mohammed. Mohammed, just because you asked me that question, give me your number and I'm going to send you a copy of my book on the subject, okay? Did you see that hand clap back there, Mohammed? Okay, we got one more over here. Do we have one more? I say, okay, now everybody go put their hands up now. No. 1, 2, 3. Quick questions. That's it. Yes, sir. Standing, please. Yes, sir. We're going to come back to you, bro. Give me a second.
Okay, so my questions are about the movie. The one that motivates me all the time, and the second is just for information. There is a scene in the movie where when you are with your kid in the bathroom, and someone is knocking at the door. Does that really happen, or something like that resembled? And the second is like when you are in the interview, and that is something I have watched more than any video. And the guy asked you about the shirt, and you reply that it must be like a bitter shirt or thing like that. So was that really the question in the interview?
Let's break it down. The two parts. The bathroom. Did that really happen? It had to happen too many nights because there was no place else to go. That place I go back to once every 10 years. That helps me with staying grounded and humble. I go back to that place. I don't have to go in there. As a matter of fact, I can show you a post, a picture of it on my Instagram account. I never close the door. I'm afraid that if I close the door, the ghost and the pain in the walls will come out. I go back there every 10 years. I one time had to take my son back there. This young man got to the point where he felt that he was entitled to certain things. We've always had these things. We've always had it this way. And I had to take him back to this place and show him that no, we have not always had it like this. And this is where it all started, right here. And that scene in the film where I show up with the paint all over me, yeah, man, that was real. But more important than that, the guy who gave me that opportunity is today one of my best friends, and we do major business deals and have been friends for 40 years. So that goes back to the last thing I want to share with you, the importance of relationships. Now, I don't know in this part of the world, but in the States, coming up, it may be just a generational thing, I don't know. But there was a song that we sang about the 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic. That song was written in like 1792. Why I remember that, I have no idea. Reading, writing, arithmetic. And I'm submitting to you, there's a new 3 R's. The rep, the rap, and the Rolodex. You've got to, right now, more important than ever, maintain a reputation for integrity in your business and your personal dealings. The rap, you've got to be able to communicate. You can have the best goods, services, or products in the world, but if you cannot rap, you will never sell any of it. And the Rolodex. I know a lot of folks are looking at me right now saying, what the? It's a Rolodex. Before there was a smartphone, there was a big paper wheel that sat on your desk that had all your contacts on it, right? Your relationships. Relationships are the most important asset that any entrepreneur will ever have beyond talent. Because relationships can do things that talent cannot. Okay? You got to know that. Let's all say that we are among the best in every field that we're all in. And there's this much difference separating you and your price from your biggest competitor. You know who's going to get the business every time? The person who's invested the most in the relationship. Relationships can do things that money cannot. They're to be valued, they're to be treasured and nurtured. And that's why I'm going to spend as much time as I can here in the kingdom. So, it's been an absolute honor. Thank you all very much. Dude, all right, this is the last question. Then I'm going to the party. Okay, y'all can stay here. I'm going. Yes, please.
Thank you. You talked about...
You got to stand up, bro. You can come on, stand up now.
You talk...
Hey, guys, I've just put my hand up like this because the light.
There's light.
Okay.
You talk about being humble, and I see you're very calm, and I want to learn, or I'm learning more about how to be grounded. I see you're very grounded. There's a difference between being calm and being grounded. If you would be sitting naked over here, I think you'll be in the same energy, right? So how do you do that?
I don't know. Let's find out. Get out of here. Good night. Good night. That's it. I'm out.
Thank you.
Woo,
Thank you so much, Mr. Gardner.
Oh, no,
thank you,
didn't.
everyone. This was the closing of our wonderful majlis. In the last session of the Misk Global Forum. Thank you, everyone, for being here.